Little known fact for you, that taco intro is actually your boy. I really wanted to find like a sound effect of somebody chewing, but I I couldn't find one that wasn't like ASMR-y and like just gross. So I just went because the first time I did it, I tried to like keep the same, like I tried to go and just run it 3 times, but it sounded like it didn't sound right. Nobody cares about this. Anyway, and then when I said, I like dropped it down a little bit so it sounded not like me. But it's sort of like the old Zona's Awesome Fishing Show when he's like, Zona's Awesome Fishing Show is brought to you by. I'm like, that's obviously you, dude. Like, you're not fooling anyone. Like, the enunciation is obvious. You just pitched it down a little bit, whatever. So welcome to another episode of Tackling Tacos, a fishing podcast. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. We got Lola back in the studio.
Heyo.
For the first time in a while.
Back. She's back. She might need a round of applause or something. Like,
I mean, which one is it?
Probably crickets.
It's been a while.
Dang it. That's wrong. There it is.
Thank you guys. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
I mean, I can't be mad at her. She was tending to her more sacred duty of raising children. And for anybody out there who has babies, like Gus just turned 3 a couple days ago. And that's a fun age, but it's also not an age that's like super uniform, and like he always goes to bed the same time or the same way. So, it can be difficult sometimes. So Lola has been tending to the children's, and I can't be mad at her for that, but I'm very glad she's back for this episode. This is a really, really dope one, and kind of a different vein that I'm so excited about. We have on the podcast today, Matt Johnson, the CEO of Omnia Fishing. And unless you've been living under a rock, and I mean like a supersized rock, Omnia Fishing, it's just, they've had sort of like when we had Nate, Lola, when we had Dan Miguel of Great Lakes Fishing, I remember we kind of had him on the show right when Great Lakes Fishing was like, or Great Lakes Finesse. I keep on saying Great Lakes Fishing. Right when Great Lakes Finesse was very like, on like just on like a, meteoric, trajectory. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody's fishing with Omnia. I feel like has just grown so much, and everybody talks about it. Everybody loves the lake layers and maps. I mean, it's crazy. It's like a whole different, even if you go to omniafishing.com, it's not like going to other tackle fishing retailer websites at all.
Yeah.
In like the coolest way. And they work with a lot of really dope podcasts like Bass Talk Live and Hella Bass with our buddy Rich and our homies over at the Serious Angler Network.
And now tackling tacos.
And now tackling, they got the big dogs now. They've never really talked tacos, so now we're gonna, this is like Barbara Walters hard hitting journalism here. But I'm so excited to have Matt on the podcast, and I just talk about who he is, where Omnia came from, all that good stuff. Yeah, really, really dope. Nate, how are you, my good friend?
I'm doing good. I feel slightly under the weather, but
okay.
This was one I got to pull it together for because, like you said, we've got somebody we're really looking forward to talking to, and Matt, and man, just like you said, an awesome like story of how Omnia became kind of what it is, and like you said, an online retailer that has absolute layers upon layers of goodness to just like unfold. Like I mean, you can find absolute gold in their website from just buying tackle to lake research to fishing reports. I mean, I'm ready to get into it, but so I guess before we do, gotta thank the sponsors, right? Our presenting sponsors, Grizzly Coolers, and you guys looking quite dapper in your Grizzly Coolers hoodies, and of course all of our Grizzly Cooler drinkware. Gotta show it off because it is by far the best stuff there is. Those water bottles are those water bottles are so sick. I absolutely love mine. Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, Grizzly Coolers, Giltech, and Hook and Arrow Supply, where you can find all your Giltech product currently until they get the new Giltech website up and going, which I'm excited for. I'm excited to get some new Giltech gear and get to slinging that stuff around.
For sure.
Loophole Optics and their performance eyewear team. Show it off, Jordan. Let us see those boxes.
I don't have the shades on me, but I have this box from the Shades, which is super dope. And then over yonder, I have the box from the best hunting binos I've ever used.
I got mine here in the back as well. But yeah,
they're just bananas.
Their Performance Eyewear, we're part of their team, along with some incredible anglers who I think we're actually going to get a couple on here.
We are quick this week.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Super stoked for that. But of course, thank you to the guys at the Working Class Bowhunter podcast and the podcast network, letting us be a part of the squad, part of the team. And check us out, tackleandtacos.com, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the good stuff where you can get all your tackle and taco needs.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Let's do it
for sure.
My question is, Lola, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little under the weather today.
Stop it, you big.
Jeez.
I don't know. I have like this weird itch in my nose, like this weird tingly, am I
Do you think it's possible you're both just hypochondriacs?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, all right.
Yeah.
You just think you're sick all the time.
We have kids. We're gonna get sick.
Yeah.
That's true. That's exactly it.
Yeah. And we have 50.
Yeah. 50, is that right?
6. Well, not 56, but just 6. Yeah.
Just
it feels like 50 sometimes. But they're awesome.
They are.
And happy birthday to Gus.
Happy birthday,
turning 3,
buddy.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Speaking
of Gill Tech, I just put a story on our social today. What is our social again?
Tackle and Tacos.
That's it.
There it is.
That was a very rapper hand thing. I thought you were about to
I'm a rapper's wife.
I thought you were about to throw some bars. Man, I thought you were about to let him
rapper's
eat.
Wife.
Yeah, got them bars. Matt's from Matt. Well, not from, but he's in like the Minneapolis area, and that bars. That reminded me of Prof. If anybody doesn't listen to Prof, he's like homies with Milliken, super dope MC from the Minneapolis hip hop scene. But anywho, speaking of Gill Tech, on our socials, I posted a story. I was just looking through random videos today while I was working, and I found this video of a largemouth that I skipped a Gill Tech jig, a swim jig, under a dock. I was old Andy Morgan skipping a white swim jig under a dock, and this
classic.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like, that's very much one of those lures, like a jig, like a flipping jig or a square bill on rocks, or I don't know, a Texas rig of the worm. Like, it just works all the time. And we can get all complicated and cute and JDM or finesse or whatever, but skipping a swim jig under a dock, it just works. And I was just thinking about how well those Gill Tech northern swim jigs are made, from the shape of the head, the humongous eyes. I've never, and this is saying something, I did not think about this till right now. I've never had a Gill Tech swim jig lose an eye. Have you, Nate?
No, absolutely no.
I always,
I was so nervous you're gonna be like
for the ones that have eyes stuck on and then cleared over. And it's not a disc, but like Sixth Sense, the Mega Bass, like Uozi or whatever that one is with the little like underspin on it. I've always popped eyes off of those, always, and I never lose eyes on those big Gill Tech swim jigs with the big eyes.
It's crazy to think too, because those eyes are absolutely giant. What are they?
Huge.
Something like 8 millimeter, 10
I don't know. I mean, they're massive. They're like the whole head of the jig.
Big. Yeah. Most of your, I think
so good.
Your typical eye size for, hard baits or even, other swim jigs are, I think it's like 4 to 5 millimeter.
I think it is 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. I mean, and those things are just giant. So
they're massive.
It's awesome.
And they're just dope. They just work really well. But anyway, I was just thinking about that. They work super good. And then also on the Grizzly Cooler side of thing, if you don't know, if you go to the website, grizzlycoolers.com, the code WCB, contrary to what I said for like a year on this podcast, it does not get you 10%. It gets you 15%.
What?
Which is...
That's good.
That was a good reaction.
It's almost like a whole new discount.
It's almost like 50% more off.
Yeah.
But anyway, 15% off literally everything on the site, sans their amazing hunting blinds. So like the big coolers, the backpack coolers, which we have one right over here. They're too dope. The drinkware, apparel, whatever. That's pretty dope. 15% off. So I think that's it. You got anything you want to bring up, Lola, before we bring the dude on?
Nope. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad you're back. It feels better. Yeah. It feels better with you out here. Let me move this a little bit. I feel like.
Why?
So we can see you.
See more of my knees.
Yeah, see more. You're such an old lady in a chair with your like red
with
cabin flannel blanket. Yeah, that's pretty funny. But Nate, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's get it.
All right. So like we said, honored to have this fella on the show. pretty excited. I will say what's really cool about Omnia, on top of everything else we've already said, is I literally just sent them an email to like the generic, like whatever it was on the omniafishing.com page. Hey, we're part of a podcast. We would love to have someone from your team be on our podcast. That was it. And then when they said, well, do you want to talk tackle or do you want to talk the story, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, it'd be really cool to start with the story of Omnia. Maybe we do another one down the line where we talk specific tackle and all that. But like, I think it'd be cooler to hear the foundational stuff of Omnia first. And they're like, oh, cool. You'd want to talk to Matt. And then we started texting back and forth. And then I realized this is the freaking CEO of the company.
You like freaked out when you
realized.
I
was sort of like I'm like, oh man, should I have been like more formal? Should I have tried to use bigger words to impress him a little more? You know, just sort of like just throwing him in there to act like I'm intelligent. But anyway, we're excited to have him on. So with no further waiting, Matt Johnson. Hey. What's up, man?
Not under the weather. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, you're not.
What do you say?
Yeah, man. Everybody. Well, I don't think you can get sickness this way from like a podcast, from being on the same screen with us. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. So, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you all?
Great, really good. Yeah. Did you? So you had kids hockey tonight, or is that not tonight?
Yeah, that was tonight. Yeah.
And how did that go?
Actually, that was the wife took the kids to hockey. They're back now. Now all the kids are getting ready for bed, so it was kind of a jumbling act. But
okay,
this time worked out perfect.
Oh, perfect. Well, yeah. How many kids do you have, Matt?
Two. I got a 7-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl. Hockey fan.
Fun.
The 10-year-old girl plays too?
Yeah,
that's so dope.
Can you swear on this? Awesome, she's an a-hole. She's
You can swear all you want. I don't care.
She's a nice little girl. She is the sweetest thing. And when she gets on the hockey, she will rip your face off.
I love her.
Sometimes
that's incredible.
Say like, hey, this is kind of like a budging sport, like where everybody said, don't budge in line. Like, this is a budging sport. I never had to teach her that. I was like, you're going to spend a lot of time in the box if you don't cool it on some of those things. So
that's sweet.
Oh my gosh.
Monster.
So she is like that scene on Inside Out with Riley, where like the fire, like the anger guy, like hits the button and she's that.
She's like, well, it's like she loves it too. And we'll go to like the Gophers women's games and they'll play this great game and I'll see all these great plays. And then, one of the girls will put her fingers in the the hole of the girl's mask and pull it down. That's the thing she remembers. Like, I'm going to do that. Like, that's sweet. So.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she sounds cool as heck.
I actually heard you mention Hellabass. And I actually just ran into Rich. I don't know if it was his daughter, who wasn't playing at the same time as us, but was actually going to one of the old beat up rinks, and we just passed each other and kind of, we never see each other in person. And
that's cool.
Funny.
Oh, Rich, what's up?
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I forgot he's a hockey guy too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have 6 kiddos, Lola and I do, and I just feel like Vinny, our middle boy, would be the most like hockey of all of them.
He keeps talking about it. He's like, I just really want to do it, Mom. And I'm like, you're 11. I don't know if starting now is.
Well, the other thing is he doesn't know how to ice skate, so that's a first step. I feel like he may need to.
He's aggressive and he's very athletic and picks up on things really quickly. Yeah. So I feel like he probably could do it.
Yeah.
But then we would have $0.
But he'd also be Vinny would be that. What's that one dude, Matt? I don't know if you remember his name. I can't remember off the top of my head. He was like, this is gonna sound terrible, but he was like a black hockey player and he was just an enforcer. He's friends with Jeff Gustafson up in Canada. Do you know what I'm talking
about? That's Bufflin.
Yeah. Big, strong dude. And like and the funny thing is when you watch him, because he fishes like bass tournaments and stuff now. We want to get him on the show so bad, Buff or whatever. But like he was just an enforcer. Like people were just terrified of him because he was aggressive and strong and just didn't give a F about the box. Like if he went in the box, it didn't bother him.
And the sport's changed. Even the NHL seems like it's changed since he was in the league. There were more of those guys and they're still there. You still have tough guys on the ice, but it's all fast and finesse now. It's changed a lot since he's been there.
Yeah, what's Connor Bedard? Like he weighs 113 pounds. You know what I'm saying? But he's just so quick and his slap shot is he just loads it up in a heartbeat. And so it is totally different. But so I guess we can keep talking hockey or we can transition to what we got you here for, man. Again, truly bottom of our hearts together. Thank you for doing this, brother. It means a lot. So I think what we'd like to start with, if you're cool with it, is just share with us a little bit of you, not so much Omnia, unless they kind of like confluence or whatever. What's your background in fishing? How did you get bit by the bug of like being outside and fishing and whatever that looks like?
Yeah, that's when I reflect back, and I think it's actually, I put this in my bio on the Omnia website, but when I reflect back on it, I was a military brat, so we moved all over the place, and so we never really settled until I was probably 6 or 7 years old, and we settled in northern Wisconsin. I'm from Ashland, Wisconsin, up on Lake Superior. And so my family's I was born in North Carolina, Oklahoma. We moved, lived overseas for a while. And so my dad's outdoor experience was really diverse. You know, he'd done a lot of things and fished a lot of places and hunted a lot of places, camped a lot of places. And now all of a sudden we live on the shores of Lake Superior, and there's just so many options up there. And so I feel like I never mastered anything. I did it all, never mastered anything. And my dad was always like if it's worth doing right kind of guy. Really kind of wanted to do things well, and wanted you to understand like the hard parts of things. Maybe that was his military background. But as a very young kid, he used to take me out into a small paddle boat, and we would fish with poppers with fly rods. He wanted me to be able to master fly fishing, or like the cast, before doing any other types of fishing. So I'm this young kid trying to cast. It's hard.
Yeah.
At first you think it's the popper doing the work, then you learn it's the line doing the work, and we're catching sunnies and small bass and things that are just feeding up near shore. And so when I reflect like how I caught the bug was my dad's patience of being hooked in the back of the ear nonstop. But it was so important to him that I learned this. Of course, never master it, but learn this. And so I just feel like I grew an appreciation for all types of fishing. So we did a lot of Laker and brown up in like the Apostle Islands, trolling in big boats and stuff. We did a lot of walleye and big pike in the bay, fished all the small lakes around, did a little bit of stream fishing, the Brule River, and there's just so many unbelievable opportunities up in that area. That's really where I caught the bug.
Wow, that's awesome.
So cool.
And what a cool life story about your dad too, because like, what's funny, Matt, you're a dad, you got kiddos. I don't know if they're into fishing. Are your kiddos into fishing now, or do they at all like fishing?
Yeah. Okay. We're just starting that process, but
yeah, sure. So the reason to ask is like, when you see like a video or you hear like your story right now or whatever, you're like, man, I'm gonna take my kids fishing, and then you go and it's like, it's not as fun as what you kind of romanticize it to be,
right.
So like you were saying, like your dad getting hooked in the back of the ear with like a popper on some, whatever weight line, like that's really what happens. Or your kids dump the whole thing of worms in, or they're
you have a toddler trying to run off the boat.
Yeah. Yeah. So the patience thing, it's a great deal, but it's not super easy all the time,
Yeah, it feels worth it though.
It's totally worth it.
Yeah.
1,000,000%.
It's tough. My son's been asking a lot about ice fishing right now. And we spend a lot of time on the ice, and I'm like, I can't believe you want to spend more time on the ice. and then I say, like, I'm not sure you're going to like it. My parents were always really smart. They take us ice fishing on the bay in Chequamegon Bay, Lake Superior, and they always brought our ice skates. And you jig for a little while, and then you go do something else, and you come back, and then the flag goes up, and your heart, your blood's pumping, and that's how ice fishing was sold to me. I think that's the only way I could get my kids interested, because you're right that like they romanticize this idea of like fishing through the hole and you pull up this great fish, and that's not really what it is very often. You gotta have a lot of patience, and it's gotten cooler with live scope and being able to almost play a video game on the ice, but yes, it's you got to have that patience as both a parent and also teach that patience and starting that process.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep, that's exactly right. We kind of ruined a few of our kids for ice fishing, because when we first started doing it, when we lived in the Illinois region, we would go to the super dope stock pond, and so we had a flasher, but it was like, if you weren't catching a fish every what, Lola?
I mean,
every couple minutes, or every couple drops. So now, now that we're fishing bigger public bodies of water
that we don't know well at all.
And it's not like bass fishing where you can troll around and power up to one spot and put the poles down and move it. So you're just like drilling a hole, hoping for the best. Like that didn't work, and then you move. And so the patience thing is not super easy to come by with the kiddos yet.
But it's like doing a Canadian fly-in for your first fishing trip when you're 10 years old. It's like,
right.
It's never going to be like this.
Right.
Yeah. You're setting the bar like too high, because you're never going to replicate it again, for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. So do you miss Wisconsin, Matt?
No, my family actually still lives up there. So I do get up every once in a while.
Yeah.
But and actually, the only fishing I still do up there is we do a lot of planer board trolling for big browns and Lakers and stuff, and
okay.
I really enjoy that. I like to smoke fish, so it's always nice to go up and catch some fish, cook it up. Kids like eating it, and so still get out every once in a while.
Yeah,
right. Leave out of the Bayfield area. It's beautiful.
Oh Absolutely. My gosh, such an awesome area up there. Yeah, I'm a diehard Lola diehard. We're Hayward people, you know. And Bayfield's just kind of straight up from there. And yeah. So what other? I mean, so you said kind of the browns and some of that planer board stuff. What else do you get into nowadays for fishing? What really wets your whistle for fishing these days?
Well, I think the Omnia has resulted in me catching a little bit of the bass bug.
Okay.
But actually, one of the greatest experiences that I've had, I haven't done it a lot recently, but also sticking with kind of that fly rod, but you know, with streamers and catching smallmouth bass in the Mississippi River is some of my favorite fishing these days. We get to do that every once in a while, and that's just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that's sweet, dude. Golly, Nate, have you ever gotten into fly fishing? I actually don't know that about you.
I have not. No.
Okay.
When I was a kid, like kind of how I got the bug, there was a little pond outside of town that we used to ride our bikes on this trail to. You go down this long bike trail through the woods, and there was a little pond kind of tucked away, and we'd go fish there as often as we could. And there was a guy that was there every summer for 3 or 4 years, and that's all he did was just fly fish from the bank, and it looked like magic, like poetry, like people say, like exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. I have never done it, but that's I still have that super vivid memory from when I was 8 years old, 9 years old. Like, I mean,
cool.
It's it's I'm a fan of it, but nothing I've gotten into quite yet.
Okay.
But to be fair, it's the same thing. Like, it's very romantic, but if you want to catch a trout in a stream, like a spinning rod and some panther, panther marlins.
Yeah.
That's how you get. I like
inline spinners.
By any means, I think it's a cool process, and it is neat to fish that way. But I'm a big fan of all of it.
Yeah, for sure. Have you fly fished, Lola? I feel like you're my wife. I should know this, but I mean, like with your dad and stuff, did he get into that at all?
No, and I feel like if I were
your dad doing that,
though. Because he sounds a lot like his dad. Like, he does things well. It's about the process and learning it and all of that. And no, but if I were to pick it up now, like, I wouldn't just go out and figure it out on my own. Like, I would want someone that knows what they're doing and then like holds my hand through the process. Like, this is how you do it, right?
Yeah. You know what's funny too about fly fishing, y'all, is I remember one time talking to a feller, a bass elite angler, who said one specific way of bass fishing where you can see a guy doing it and know pretty quickly, like, this guy knows what he's doing with that, or he kind of doesn't, and he wasn't saying it from like a asshole judgy way. He was just saying it like you can see, like, how he's talking about jerk baiting, whether they crank down before they start popping it, or how they work it, or what their cadence. You can just kind of tell right away. I don't know if you've ever seen somebody fly fish who doesn't know how to fly fish. It is the funniest crap. Like, it's just like, you said it's like art, Nate, or like poetry. Yeah. It's true unless you're just starting. Then it just looks like it looks like a rat's nest on a bait casting reel just over your entire life. Like, everything is just all over lines, slinging, like an octopus coming out of the water. Like, it's just not a pretty sight. But
that's all right.
You got to go through that to get to the poetry stuff, I suppose. I don't know.
You're so
sorry. I was just thinking about it. I remember one time when I was younger. At this, just like you were saying, Nate, there was a dude at Mr. Miles Pond in Roscoe, Illinois, where we would catch mega bass, not mega bass, but big bass, not like the lure company. Anyway, on just like old school, like spinning stuff. We were throwing spinner baits and whatever. And this one old fellow would come down there and fly fish, and he did not know how to fly fish. He would hook himself, he'd hook the trees, he'd like get it stuck on stuff, he'd turn around and like wrap it around himself on accident. And like, so when he would come down, because we were just like jerky kids, we were like, oh, this is gonna be awesome, because we were just gonna laugh at him, but who knows, maybe now he's like Brad Pitt and a river runs through it. Maybe he's just like super good with it. I don't know. Maybe. But anyway, all right, so before we start talking about Omnia, Matt, which is obviously maybe the main thrust of why we want you here. Tell us a little bit about some of the taco spots around you in Minneapolis, because that's like, I don't know how big Minneapolis is. It's not a small town, but it's not New York size, but it's a super like.
But to Eau Claire, it's like the cities,
right? But it's
like
also a pretty culturally diverse area. Like, there's a lot. Like, whether you're into like, hip hop music, skateboarding, snowboarding, food stuff, nightlife. Like Minneapolis has a lot of stuff for everyone. What's the taco vibe like there, man?
It's pretty good. I don't think Minneapolis is known for the taco vibe, but it's big enough that you can get anything that you want. So I live right in the center of the metro in a city called Roseville. And so it's one of the only cities that borders both St. Paul and Minneapolis. So I'm in a perfect spot to be able to quickly get and try any of these things. And tacos like that one food that if I could only eat one type of food for the rest of my life, that's probably what I'd go with. I'd have a hard time giving up pizza, but that's
we're cheering for you.
Seek it out. I do seek it out.
We're cheering for what do you have a local spot you like the best?
Yeah. The places I would probably tell you about, and you have to promise to come here and go to one of these with me. Okay. But there is a place in South St. Paul, and there's actually 2 restaurants that are really close to the area. I think it has a pretty large Mexican immigrant population. And the 2 most popular that I've been to quite a few times called El Burrito Mercado. So it's like a grocery store that has a place in it. It's unreal. Very authentic though. So if you like Tex-Mex, this will get you a little bit nervous. And then
give us authentic.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then there's a place that's I think is probably one of the most popular called Boca Chica. And that's the place that like I can take my kids to. We settle up at the bar, belly up, and just go to town, eat a whole bunch of tacos.
That's awesome.
Yeah, those are great. And that's probably like 10 miles from me, somewhere in that range. But one of my favorites is a place called El Taco Riendo. That's in Northeast Minneapolis. And if anybody from the Twin Cities is watching, they've probably heard of all 3 of those. Okay. But they make a lingua taco. It's a cow tongue.
Yeah.
Super tender. Oh, I could eat that for every meal for the rest of my life.
Heck yeah. Dang, man.
I guess we got to go hang out with Matt.
I guess we have to.
Let's go.
Yeah. I mean,
are you into lingua?
I love lingua. I love lingua. I've had brain tacos, lingua, whatever. Yeah, I'm down. If it's a taco, I'm down to put it in my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. My question was about to be what a protein aside from ground beef would be that you'd choose, and I suppose you answered that right there. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I do like the carnitas and pork. That's probably my go-to.
Yeah, carnitas is hard to beat for sure. So can I ask you a stupid question, Matt? With all the options there, do you frequent something like Chipotle or like Qdoba, or do you just stick to like the cool little like authentic spots?
Oh, Chipotle all the time. That's
okay.
Yeah. I mean, with 6 kids, you have to go to Chipotle, right? Like,
hello, they got gift cards for Christmas.
Yeah, they got Chipotle gift cards for Christmas, and by their own like request.
Yeah.
Yes, Chipotle is fantastic. We hit that up. I will say, like, my first Chipotle experience was like 2004, and it's not the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I just remember it being spiritual back in the day, but
I think that's how our kids feel. So maybe it was just younger years or something, because they like take a bite and they're like, oh yeah. Yep. Like every time, like Dom and Vinny especially, they'll just like slap the burrito and go to town.
They slap it like they're like spanking it, like, you bad girl, which is a little weird, but it also makes a lot of sense.
Love it.
Without a doubt.
It's like I always tell my kids to eat, but when it's Chipotle, they just go until it's done.
Exactly. Absolutely. It's like a commitment burrito.
Yeah. For the longest time, our oldest boy, Dom, he just turned 14. When he was like 11, 12, he'd always be like, he would just go to the line and we'd just be like, all right, get what you want, whatever. And he'd be like, I'm going to have steak, double meat, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, come on, dude. That thing's as big as you are, homie. Like, you're not double meating that thing. But the best part about it is I'm working hard on really filling out my dad bod. So when Dom would be done eating it, I would just come through like a shop vac. You know what I'm saying? And like whatever he didn't
just clean
finish.
house.
Oh, I just toasted. Yeah. Right in.
He ate most of it though.
He would, but he would always show off and like, I can do it. The other night he told us he could eat a whole lots of matzah frozen.
And I was
pizza.
like, honey, that's not like a Jack's
no,
pizza.
You can't. And he didn't. He tried.
Left 3
he got like
pieces.
he got like 4.5 in.
Which is a lot though.
It is, but like you ain't eating no lots. I'm a grown ass man. I ain't eating no lots of the whole thing.
The amount of cheese on those.
I know, my God, ouch.
There's lots of.
Yeah, we're currently going through. My 7-year-old boy is like, he wants his own Jack's Pizza now, and like that's.
See?
I'm so proud of him, and he hasn't finished it yet, but he says he's going to every time, and he goes in very confidently, and that was like when I knew that I had grown to be a real man. Is full Jack's Pizza. That's like a company, right? Like, isn't that like in your backyard?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So what's your son's name?
Miles.
Miles. Oh, I love that name.
We were just saying that we love that name.
Yeah, we just had Miles Berghoff on our show, who is a guy we really like too.
Yeah.
What is Miles' favorite Jack's? What's his pizza that he goes to?
Just pepperoni.
Okay.
3-pack. Like the
box.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I really like the bacon cheeseburger one.
That's Dom's favorite too.
Yeah.
Do
you have Matt? Are you a cuisine person? Do you have a pizzazz?
Pizzazz? What?
You know what that is? Like that little cooker where it spins real slow.
I do not. Okay. But at the Omnia office, we have one of those pizza cookers that you get in a bar. Like where you slides into the middle
thing. Yeah.
That
like
cooks the best
oven style. They are really even. Yeah, those are super even. They work really
well.
And
my kids' hockey fundraiser is always Heggie's Pizza. I think some people say it's called Heggie's.
Heggie's, Heggie's.
So I just guilt everybody into buying those, so they fill the freezer full of them, and then they can cook them right there on the.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So you said we're talking food here, and I love it. You said you like smoking fish and stuff. Number one, do you ever make smoked fish tacos? Because it's incredible. Number two, have you ever smoked a frozen pizza? Because it's really, really dope, actually.
Unfortunately, no to both of those.
Wow.
All right. Got to get it done.
Yeah.
I've done the grill, but I've never put in a smoker. I should.
Yeah. When you do like a latza matza or one that's not just paper thin, it sounds obvious, but it sounds obvious, but it's a weird, not to sound all like, what's that dude's name? Gordon Ramsay, or try and sound like I know what I'm talking about, but it is a different flavor profile when you have smoke mixed into your like frozen pizza.
But like, how's the mouth feel?
Oh, I hate that word. So that phrase, the mouth feel, it's got a good mouth feel. Shut up.
Well, when you come to tacos with me, there is a restaurant like 6 blocks from my house called the Tipsy Steer, and they have a pizza that they smoke, and then they put this glass cover on it, and they bring it out to the table, and it sits with all that smoke on top of the pizza, and then they take it off and they hand it to you. And it's just like a bar food place. I don't understand why they have this like fancy pizza thing, but
dang,
that's great. So I'm on board with it.
Yeah, that sounds like diners, drive-ins, and dives type material, doesn't it? Like a little twist on something home cooking. There's a place in the Quad Cities. Nate, do you know the place in Rock Island, the QC Coffee and Pancake House? Do you know that spot?
Yeah, I know that spot.
Oh, dude. So like that place is owned by a chef named Jose Zepeda. And the only reason I always know his name is because he's come out a couple of times. I've talked to him. This dude is like an actual like culinary trained, schooled fella. And then he just takes like normal stick to your ribs type breakfast food and spins it with a little bit more like cuisine flair. So he'll do like smoked salmon and eggs for breakfast stuff, or like these cinnamon roll pancakes where the cinnamon is like swirled into the oh my goodness. I love places like you were just saying where it's like a normal place, but then they do something a little different, and man, it just sets it off. That's great. All right. So what's your go-to topping on some tacos, Matt? Like what do you got to have on there?
I think I'm just a purist with just heavy cilantro.
Wow, look at you.
My man.
He's the same.
Yeah, I love cilantro. It doesn't, if it's white guy tacos to something fancy, gotta have cilantro. I have to.
Yeah. Hot sauce or no?
Lots of hot sauce.
What's your spicy level?
High. I have a lot of tolerance for heat.
Dude, you and me are similar. Dude.
What ruins a taco?
You know what's something I don't like? I don't like raw onions on tacos, and I think that's kind of
Nate. That's Nate. He's so excited.
My man.
Maybe you're like
my man.
Dude, our vibes are all lining up here in like different sections. Yeah, because I always make fun of Nate because he always says he hates onions.
Yeah.
I'm getting old, so I'm getting to the point where I can tolerate some here and there.
Really?
And cooked ones I can tolerate here and there, but do not ever put a raw onion on my taco. Don't do it.
But wait, it's a texture thing, yeah?
Yeah, is it a texture thing or what is it for you, Nate?
I feel like we've talked about this.
Okay.
It's both. It's texture and flavor. The flavor of a raw onion is just not the same as a cooked one. It's not. It doesn't. It's not the same.
My daughter eats a hot dog with raw onions and pickles on it, and whenever we go and we go and she'll tell the waitress like, "Can I get raw onions and pickles?" The waitress kind of looks at me like, "Does she want that? Or is that really what?"
You're like, she knows what she's talking about.
All right, so now we have
10 years old. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
that is.
Yeah.
She's got a very advanced palate, as they say. Yeah, because so Matt, when we had Carlos on from Guac and Roll, which for real, man, next time you're in Eau Claire, number one, we'd love to hang out. We'll take you to some of the spots here. Number two, if we're not able to, Guac and Roll in downtown Eau Claire is so freaking good. They have like some kind of like that Jose Zapata, like some little bit more experimental, like the Barstow burrito has French fries in it, which sounds weird, but a lot of Mexican stuff like enchiladas have potato in it, and so it's just kind of a different way of doing it. But anyway, when we had Carlos on and we were like, what makes a good taco, and he was like cilantro and onion, like that was like his right there. Like when you go get like corn tortilla tacos, steak, cilantro, and onion, and we're all just like looking at Nate, like just waiting for him to be like, no, like he's gonna tell like a taco expert that ain't it. But now Nate, you have someone else who's like pretty smart about food, who agrees with your craziness.
But do you like pico? Like pico de gallo? Would you?
Yeah, I actually like onions. I actually like onions on pizza and on burgers and things like that. But I just don't like the chopped up raw onions. I just don't want that extra crunch. I don't want that to dominate the experience. But,
it can too.
I think I'm in the wrong. I think Nate and I are the wrong ones because most people like that. But
yeah.
Well, I just don't. I know what I like.
That's all right.
It is possible though. It's way possible to put way too much onion on, and like you said, it just kicks like your tongue more than the meat, more than the salsa, more than the cheese. Like that onion just comes through all aggressive. And yes, that makes sense for sure. Well, that was a great conversation about tacos, man. Thank you. I'm hungry again. Yeah, that is the one stupid thing about our shows. Every time we, like last week when we haven't launched it yet, but with Miles, he was talking about how he made these like super crazy smoked venison tacos, and I'm just like, God dang it, dude! I just leave here feeling hungry, but. And we live in Strum, Matt, which is just south of Eau Claire, and there's like 30 people here, so you're not getting tacos unless you cook them yourself. There's no DoorDash or whatever. So
are Strum and Oliva different cities, or are they like
it's Oliva Strum?
Yeah, the school district's in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're both huge, like tons of like gang wars, like the same like crime stuff they have in like New York we have here. It's hard. You could literally never lock your door and never like not take your, like you could just leave your keys in your car. Nothing would ever happen. It's I remember one time when we first moved here, I was talking to the sheriff at the hardware store, and I was asking him, I'm asking him like, hey, do you have crime here? He's like, I don't know, somebody was driving fast the other day or something. like that's the extent of it, so I'm not mad about it. But all right, man, let's talk Omnia. And sort of like your background in fishing, I would love to hear from you. Number one, Omnia's freaking dope, dude. Let me just say, I know I'm not the first person to tell you that. Lola thinks it's dope. Nate thinks it's dope. The way you do it is different. And I just want to say this kind of specific compliment, if I can. Many times as humans, we're resistant to things that are a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go to do something and it's not like instantly known how to do it, you're like, forget it or whatever. And when you go to omniafishing.com, it doesn't feel like Tackle Warehouse. It doesn't feel like LureNet. It doesn't feel like Bass Pro Shops, but it takes about 4 seconds to acclimate yourself with how it works. And so however you came up with the fish by lake system and making it user friendly, however you amalgamated those, somebody deserves a raise, because that's not an easy thing, I wouldn't think, to bring together, and you guys killed it, dude. So give us the rundown real quick. How did it start? Was this a pipe dream? Did you always want to have an online tackle, retail space? Give us the goods.
Yeah, you want the short or the long?
I want the long. I want the details. I want the nitty gritty, dude, for sure. We just spent like 10 minutes talking about tacos.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, and I appreciate you saying that, because as a product guy, sometimes we look at the site and something's always wrong. So I'm glad you're having a good experience, and it's nice of you to say those things. But well, so the journey, actually, I tell people I've accidentally spent, what has it been? I accidentally spent the last 15 years of my life in the fishing industry. Accidentally. I had a business partner, and in 2010, we were fishing on a boat, and we were looking at our Lowrance screen, and the data was just falling off the end of the screen, never to be seen again. And this was the time when like data, everybody was talking about data. Everybody was saying big data, but nobody knew what that meant. And we were just thinking like, there's got to be a way to harness the power of what's happening on this. These depth finders are incredible. Mm-hmm. The technology in here is just really incredible. And so we actually quit our jobs. I was working as a lawyer. He was working as a developer for Microsoft. And we quit our jobs and started a company called Contour Innovations. And our idea was to allow you to record the data that was flowing all through your depth finder, and then basically allow you to build a map. And this was way before like Hummingbird's live mapping, or if you're familiar with Lowrance's live mapping and stuff. And so we built our own piece of electronics, actually. And what you would do is you would unhook your transducer from your head unit, plug it into our little box, and then plug that box back into your unit. And then every time that sonar would pass and this little box would move by 3 feet, it would record the raw sonar signal that was passing and being processed by your head unit. Then you would take this little file and you'd go back to your computer. I mean, this is 15 years ago, so it sounds a little archaic now, but and you plug it into your computer, it would pull all that data off and it would build you a contour map. And that was the idea of saying, like, we have all this raw information. Can we help people build these maps of these unmapped lakes? Or can I go off on this lake in this small water body where the DNR mapped it, and I want to see what this hump actually looks like? They've got it as a little circle, but it's kind of C-shaped, and I really care about that. And so we invested and built this platform, and we got the attention of a guy here at the Minnesota DNR, and he said, "Listen, what you guys have actually built here can be used for mapping invasive species." And I have this like $70,000 depth finder that I go out on these boats with, and I drop it in the water, and I can map and monitor invasive plants. And he said, "Your data is so good that we can actually build these plant maps in like 10 minutes, and it will be completely objective. Like, you will redefine invasive plant monitoring globally." So we said, all right, well, we're not a fishing company anymore. We're going after that market. And we launched a product called BioBase. It's actually still around, and it's the global standard for mapping and monitoring invasive plants.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Golly, that's crazy.
Can you press pause for 1 second, Matt? Can you press pause? Yeah. I'm sorry. I really want to kind of Nacho Libre nitty gritty. When you had the idea for, what'd you call it? Contour what?
Contour Innovations.
Contour Innovations.
Just about harnessing the sonar.
Yeah. So when you had that idea, so, like I'm an idea guy myself, but I'm not intelligent enough to like put legs to it.
That's not true.
So when you had the idea for that, how did you go from here's my idea to, all right, so if we have the transducer come out of, the out into our box, out of our box, back into the head unit, how did you put those two together? How'd you make that work?
See, I would argue I'm more stupid than you, and we just said we'll figure it out. Like that part of your brain is broken that like says like this might not work. Like I don't have that part.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's funny. I'm a Vikings fan. Probably not great news for you guys, but
man, we suck right now. Gosh, all three of us are Packer fans. Jeez, we are limping almost literally into the playoffs. Almost literally limping, and then you have Sam Darnold, a career backup, looking like freaking Joe Montana. Cripes. Anyway, sorry. Keep going.
Well, the reason I bring that up is I truly believe that if you gave me like 6 months of work, I could be the kicker for the Vikings. I know that realistically that's not.
You're like, I could do it.
Like, I just don't have that piece of me that says, nah, that probably won't work out. I just
awesome.
Figure it out.
That's
so
cool.
We just
I think that's great.
It's like you have the parts of the airplane, you just jump off the cliff, and you're like, we'll probably get this thing together before we hit the ground. and so that was like that. I mean, I would encourage anybody, just especially if you're at the time of your life where you can't do it, just like go and figure it out. But and then we ended up in a much different place than we had originally thought. We were doing it from an angler perspective, but it really was just about collecting the data. So kind of shorten the story up, we got the attention of Lowrance. We went down and showed them this black box and said, hey, we're going to continue to manufacture these. They said, would you be willing to work with us and collaborate with us? They gave us access to the log file, which is a proprietary file that comes off onto an SD card, which essentially made our hardware obsolete.
Right.
But gave us access to 2 million customers that had Lowrance in it.
Wow.
And so we took and dumbed down our commercial software and built a product called, if you've ever heard of Insight Genesis, or if you've ever seen like the vegetation and bottom hardness mapping, that was a technology that we built with them. And then in 2014, they bought the whole company, and I became a Lowrance employee. And and then just in 2024, they spun BioBase off. And that's operating as an independent company again now. But otherwise, the Genesis has been rolled into the CMAP platform. And I worked there from 2014 till about 2018. And so the short story is essentially I got the idea for Omnia. I learned the sport of fishing during that, or the business of fishing during that period of time. I was the global lead for the digital group and got to fish in like 15 countries. It was unbelievably fun.
Heck yeah.
And but I just realized that 90% of this $5 billion tackle and gear industry was still going in store and asking for help. And I just said, well, why is everybody still going for help? And it's because 40 million of the 50 million anglers are in the middle and they don't have the knowledge base, and it's pretty overwhelming for them. And I said, can we take a concept like all of the attributes of local details, characteristics of the lake, which, I'd been in the lake mapping business, and said, can we match those up with these products and then enrich it with user generated content? And it was another one of those, I think we have the parts of the planes jump off the cliff. And that's how Omnia was born. Assembled a really small team, and we've grown to about 30 people now and been around for about 6 years.
Wow. Well, daggum, that was
a lot of steps in between that, but
well, I'm sure, but man, that sounds amazing, man. Gosh, that sounds so good, and so much of what you said resonates with me. We talked about this a teeny bit on our show, but we were telling you before we hit record how we wanted to start a tackle shop, and very Minnesota of me. Me and Lola, two of our favorite movies are the Grumpy Old Men movies, and like in the first one, what's that dude's name? The guy who runs the guy who runs the bait shop. There's something about a local Chuck bait shop, not just for buying stuff, but going in and getting the vibe on the lake. What are they hitting on? Where are they biting? That kind of thing. And it kind of feels like with Omnia's system that it's like a 2025 version of that. Am I way off base by saying that?
No, that's exactly right. And I don't think our motivation was ever to really build a tackle shop. Like we did not want to compete with either existing e-commerce or what we really wanted to do is we wanted to compete with the brick and mortar concept. And we wanted to kind of create a very unique shopping experience for as many lakes as we could in America. And, to date, we've generated. So the way we went about that is we essentially built a database of all the lakes and this kind of map-based shopping concept. Mm-hmm. And then we said, we can build based on the depth of the lake and the structures present and some of the information that we could crowdsource. We can build kind of an initial matchup of like technique, and then technique matches to product and all the variants. And so when we were building our tackle inventory, it was a pretty hard process of mapping all of these variants about, length and size and color and all of these things back to our proprietary algorithm. And the way we wanted to make that better was you come in, you buy something from us, you go out and you have some success, and then you indicate it, it was this white worm. We don't want you to show the spot in the lake. We still want that to be part of the process for the angler. But we want to simplify the selection process by going out and allowing people to file fishing reports on specific bodies of water, which continues to improve the system over time. And we've been doing this a long time. We've just finally gotten to the point where we feel really good about kind of a featured view. You're kind of looking at the whole Eau Claire area, and we can say, we know what lakes are in that area, Wissota and Chippewa flowage, and of those details, here's baits for the Chippewa flowage because it fishes like this and it's shallow and it's murky, and here's baits for Wissota and it's getting this kind of pressure, and these are the techniques that are working, the flipping docks. And what we want to do is pull that information together so you can both choose a lake and also get the right gear without being overwhelming. We got 30,000 SKUs in inventory. You don't need to look at 30,000 SKUs when shopping with tackle. There are some people that want to do that, but those 40 million that are in the middle, that's what Omnia was built for. It was built for the guy who says, by showing me everything you got, I'm not going to buy anything because I don't know what I'm looking for. And I'm going to head down to my local Bass Pro Cabela's and I'm going to ask them for help. And I'm going to ask them to fill my basket up for me. And we said, we think we could do that better. So it's that digital replacement for that in-store experience.
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, that's absolutely smart. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah. Nate, do you use Omnia? I cheat with Omnia sometimes where like if I'm going to a derby, like I'll look up a lake on Omnia fishing, you know what I'm saying, before I get there. Because if it's a lake I've never been to, and with 53 kids, we don't always have time to pre-fish, before tournaments. And so it's better than starting on a lake completely, with your hands over your eyes, going to. You know what I'm saying? Do you do that too, Nate?
Absolutely. More than once I've used Omnia, especially the personal fishing report as like a research program to, kind of figure out maybe time of year or, like you're saying, baits, specific baits for that time of year and, the bodies of water. I've done it a good handful of times, and it's definitely useful. Like I said, it can kind of cut that learning period a little bit if you don't have the lengthy time to process, practice and stuff like that. So,
yep.
Good to hear. Well, that's actually what we found in the data. We were surprised that we were getting a lot of traffic and a lot of long active sessions of people looking at a lot of things, but not buying all the time. And these were people who were they were repeat purchasers and they were coming back really often. So that's when we got the idea for Omnia Pro. And I don't know if you've seen that. We just launched it kind of middle of 2024, but Omnia Pro is essentially a subscription service. It's $49 a year. And we have said, let's be an incredible resource so people always come back to the site anytime they have questions or they're doing their planning. And it really has become a pretty valuable e-scouting tool. So you get a free Navionics subscription right on your Omnia app. You get those vegetation bottom hardness maps. We've invested in satellite water temperature maps. We give a loyalty program. So any purchases that you make from Omnia, you get 10% credit back. We've tried to make it a one-stop shop to do all your planning. And one thing that we really haven't announced yet, but I would encourage you to go check out, we are now using some trained AI models to say, if you look at our Senko as an example, there's like 950 fishing reports that have been filed in Omnia that mention a Senko. There's no human brain on earth that can go process all that information to say like, what conditions should I be using, or like what color, or draw some conclusions for me of things that get repeated constantly in these fishing reports. And so we're starting to push AI into those product detail pages. Wow. So now we may say, the Senko is the choice. You need the 5-inch white. You get to that product detail page and it's going to draw some insights for you. It's going to say like, stay in 16 to 14 feet of water near humps, find vegetation, weed lines, things like that. We're now pulling all that information in, and then we'll even link to the fishing report where we drew these conclusions from. We'll be doing that for lakes, and then we'll be in a very expanded format. That'll be part of the pro subscription. Mille Lacs, as an example, has 900 fishing reports on it, and they will be all built into charts and all kinds of details, all referenced back out to those fishing reports. And it's going to be a very intuitive resource that I think is just going to flip the concept of hotspots on its head. So we're pretty excited about that. That's kind of a next couple of weeks thing.
That's a big deal.
Wow.
Gosh, yeah.
That's incredible.
The initial results have just blown my mind. Like we've got some really, really great bass heads in the office. We did what are the main topics we should try and tease out using AI from the fishing reports, and we listed them all out. We worked back through them, and then we generated an output, and all of our eyes just went, "Oh shit!"
Whoa, yeah, wow.
So we just want to be the absolute best resource, so that Chuck from the Grumpy Old Men can't even retain that much information. Like let's Chuck. But we're going to start calling him Chuck, I think.
I love that.
You should. That'd be awesome. Yeah, you can steal that logo from his hat and stuff. And
I have searched high and low for that hat.
For me?
Yes. I'm like looking on eBay everywhere, and it's not a thing. I'm like, can I just make a patch?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, right, like what Matt is saying, I feel like so much of it really actually, it sounds kind of dorky, but, and I'm, we're not sponsored by Omnia, nothing like that. So we're not no horse in the race other than just to say it. This literally actually feels like the 2025 version of Chuck. So like when you go into that bait shop and there's like the bar and the little bar stools, so it's very like community based, but then he also has the worms and the minnows.
I was just going to say that too. It
so
has
you're
the
getting,
tackle and stuff.
Yeah, you're getting that vibe of like sort of community mixed with the stuff you need to get out there and do it. So like that's a pretty cool sweet spot that I don't know of any other place that's doing that.
Yeah. And I live like 4 miles from the house where they filmed Grumpy Old Men. So who better a company to do it than
Dude, like, come on. Well, can I just say, Matt, so like Grumpy Old Men was filmed in Wabasha, except for the effing fact that it wasn't filmed in Wabasha, because it was filmed in St. Paul and Minneapolis and whatever. It's like every time that I go to Wabasha, because there's a dope little ski and snowboard hill there called Coffee Mill, I'm always like, I'm going to find the house. And then like just this last time, after I've looked for it 55 times, I used, there's this new thing called the internet.
The web?
Yeah, the World Wide Web. And I used the Google machine. And then it's like, although they said it was Wabasha, the entire movie was filmed. And I was like, God dang it. I was so disappointed. I was thinking I was going to like.
But that's not that far from our house. We could just go have tacos and go see the house.
Well, and most importantly, if you're a huge Grumpy Old Man, my favorite bar where we go on Christmas Eve actually is called a very dumpy bar called Halftime Rec. And they have like bocce ball in the basement. And that's where they film the bar scenes. If you look at him where he came to the door in the bar, it was all filmed right around here.
Wow, right. Dude. Yeah, we got to hang out.
That's cool.
I mean, Matt, I'm not trying to make you be like my best friend, but we both like really hot sauce. We both like lingua tacos. We both, are familiar and have an affinity for the grumpy old man. We both like fishing.
Man, besties.
I just feel like we should plan a sleepover soon. That was weird. I took it too far. I'm sorry. One really specific question for you, Matt. Well, two actually. One, how did you come up with the surface temp map? Because I just said member. Oh my gosh.
That was bad.
Oh, honey. That sounds so uneducated. I remember the first time. I think it was Rich from Hellabass, who, by the way, is a pretty big contributor on the Omnia site. Like he's got reports all over, and he's a very non-BS-y type of person. So he's just not going to post something if it's not actually popping off, so you can trust what he says. But anyway, I think it was him the first time I heard about the surface temp thing, because if anybody listening to this isn't like a full-blown diehard fishing nut or a tournament angler or whatever, you may not be familiar with this phrase. But when you're doing research or when you're pre-fishing for a tournament or you're trying to break down a body of water, it's all about eliminating water. So if you know where the fish are depth-wise, water temperature-wise, cover-wise, weed, bottom hardness, whatever, and you can look at a map and know that this half of the map isn't those things I'm looking for, well, now you're not going to waste your time on that much water. You eliminate water. And with the surface temp thing, I was like, holy moly, this is like a insta eliminate so much water. How did you guys come up with that?
Yeah, good question. I mean, we were essentially sitting around brainstorming concepts of like, what if we could give all of the information that an angler would need to make decisions, what would these things be? And it wasn't, let's not limit this to things that exist today. Let's try to figure out everything people use to make decisions. And water temperature was always one of those that I was really interested in, because there are these satellites that are passing pretty frequently that have this high resolution and they can interpret temperature values for both land and water. And we were a perfect candidate to do this because we have the shapefile boundaries and outlines. So we can go gather that satellite data. We can process it within our shapefile and know whether or not we're looking at water. And some of these satellites, there's like trade-offs. Some of them pass really frequently and have really low resolution. So you're talking like 2 samples for one water body. And some of them pass like every 8 days and have like 30 meter resolution. And so we decided that, and again, like some of this all feels like it's still in beta. We're still evaluating what's useful and gathering feedback from our customer base. We're trying to do it on a national level, which is really hard. So we went with this 8-day pass. So a lot of times the data is like 2 to 3 days old, depending on when the last pass was, assuming clear skies, recognize all the limitations. But what's really incredible about it is we look at Kentucky Lake as an example, and you will see that these creek arms are heating faster than the main lake. And then these creek arms are heating faster than other creek arms. And so these patterns start to emerge where you start to see like other areas to check out if you're starting to eliminate that dead water. Or if you're fishing, you're like, I'm going to try and predict as soon as I can, the trend for the spawn pattern. And I want to know when those big girls are moving up, and I want to know what creek arms I should check out first. And you can almost see it happening. So it's not only just about having the real-time water temperature data, it's watching and becoming such an advocate or a student of your own water body. And that's really why we wanted to push this out and gather some feedback on what do we do next with it. But it really was just about what are some things, and water temperature is obviously at the top of the list of something that really anglers think a lot about. I think we think about it in the Midwest for spawn, and like when the water temperature changes and when you hit some of those key temps for spawn patterns under the different species. Yeah. But we really wanted to think about a way to create this high resolution map that would be useful nationally. And it's useful in some times a year and not as useful other times a year. But we wanted to have everything all in one place. And so we made that investment.
Man.
Again, so smart.
Yeah, it's really it. Like, it's just really, it's like logical. But again, like we were saying earlier, it's not always so easy to have an idea, but connect the dots to make the idea come to fruition. And that's super, for me as a bass angler, tournament angler, water temp is one of the bigger ones in terms of eliminating water, because like you said, especially with pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn, those numbers mean everything. And you can eliminate half a lake. So you're not running around, with your eyes closed and just wasting your time. The other question I had that was really specific is, I think I know just based on the name, but where did the name come from? And did you mess around with any other names first?
We did. That's a really great question. Nobody ever asks that. They ask what Omnia means, but they never ask where it came from.
Yeah.
It's a weird one. So when we were acquired by Lowrance was looking at pulling together a bunch of mapping resources, and so they acquired CMAP shortly afterwards. And CMAP is an Italian company, and the head of marketing for CMAP was this really nice, really smart lady. And I was actually sitting in her office, and I was asking her, like, what's your background? She said, well, I used to work for one of the major phone companies. I can't remember which one it was. And she said, I recommended that they call the phone, whatever it is, I recommended they call it Omnia. And I said, oh, that's cool. What does Omnia mean? And she said, it means all things. And I was like, well, that's cool. I said, I'm going to use that someday for a business. Just kind of joking. And, that was probably like 2015 or 16. And then when it was time to name Omnia, we were throwing some names around. And I said, I think it's Omnia. And I think we went with like Revel, and I'm trying to think of some other names that we talked about. And when we started talking about Omnia, it almost felt like it already existed. And if you ever had one of those things where you talk about it and it just like kind of takes off, and then we just start referring to it. It just was really natural and kind of took on. It's kind of a weird word. And it's not great that there's a city just an hour north of us called Onamia. And so a lot of people thought that we were
from there.
Named after Onamia. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we own onamiafishing.com too, just redirects you to Omnia.
Yeah, you got to redirect that. Yeah.
For anybody that's confused. But yeah, it was just one of those things that kind of felt like it took off on its own, and it just like became its own thing in a short period of time. It was real natural.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's sort of like when you have a buddy and then you start calling them a nickname, but it doesn't feel forced and it just starts flowing, Yeah. And yeah, Omnia. I thought Omnia because of, omniscient, everywhere, everything. I thought that's kind of where it came from, which is sort of it. So do you pay that lady royalties, or did you ever go thank her? Did you?
No, I don't know that I don't know if I've spoken with her a lot. It's a new year. I'm going to follow up with her. I'm going to tell her and thank her.
There it is. Yeah.
For being my motivation.
Yeah. Send her some, what was it called? Boca Chica or something? Send her. Yeah.
Boca Chica.
Yeah. Send her some of them good tacos for sure.
That's right.
Dude, this is awesome. I'm loving this conversation, man. I'm feeling very impressed and enlightened by a lot of what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you haven't even had that. Yes.
What'd you say?
I said, you haven't even had that smoked pizza yet that I told you about.
Yeah, well, that's got to happen. That's got to happen soon.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it needs to.
Yeah, that definitely sounds incredible. I was going to ask, so Omnia Pro, the subscription base, also has an app, right, as well, that you can get like all of this awesome features like mobile and have it, on the go at all times, right?
Yeah, well, Omnia has an app, and actually the Pro is just kind of an elevated experience. So the app is free to download. You can do all the shopping on there. It's incredible how fast people are switching to the app. It's in their back pocket. I don't know if that's good for us and bad for you, because you just can like order whenever you want really, really quickly. But it's crazy how fast people are shifting. But there is a full app. The app is mostly map-based. The web version of Omnia, which is we've always had, is also map-based. There's like a little map icon up in the header, and you can look at. It's actually, I think it's one of the best experiences, because you can get fishing report, hot bait recommendations for that season, and you can just scroll forever and just look at baits, and then see what lakes they're connected to. But you're exactly right. The Pro app or the Omnia app has a Pro version that's that upgraded loyalty credits, and you'll get all those maps. So all it is it just kind of grays out all those map features if you're not Pro. But I highly encourage everybody to also just download it and check it out. Still a lot of resources that are available for free. All the fishing reports that are filed by our customers are all free.
Yeah. And did you mention before, how many fishing reports are there? I mean, overall in Omnia, there's more than a couple.
Yeah, there's about 30,000. I think we just crossed the 30,000 mark.
Good Lord.
That's exciting.
That's nationally. So, Florida, every state. Our fastest growing are Florida, Texas. The Northeast is growing like crazy. A lot of bass guys up there.
Okay.
So yeah, it's those reports are everywhere.
Yeah, that's really neat. One thing, like we said, we wanted to talk to you more about Omnia than tackle itself, but you guys are no slouch in the tackle game either. You guys very much, I assume you have an entire team. I don't know the answer to this, but I assume you have an entire team of buyers who stay on the crazy stuff, and and we don't have to get into specific names, but like, you know, the Harry Dice and the JDM stuff that's weird. And because you guys always have it, like, or if somebody pops off and wins I don't know, the Mooch Minnow, you know, by Rapala Crush City that Jacob Wheeler brought to fame and is kind of pretty popular right now. You guys always have the stuff that's popping off. So like, is that a whole different arm as far as getting that stuff?
Yeah, we do have a full merchandising team that those guys live, breathe, sleep tackle. They absolutely love it. Our business is a little bit unique in that our merchandising team and our marketing team sit within the same group. And that's because it's really critical that our marketing, our content, our email, all of that, they're all anglers and they all speak the right language. It's all very authentic. But when you see reviews, and we have a full studio, a lot of the times when you're seeing video reviews or product reviews, those are our buyers. Those are the guys that are responsible for keeping up with the trends and staying on top of that. And then we work with a lot of pros, you know, Patrick Walters, and I don't know if I should announce who we just signed, but you know, Seth Fighter, Patrick Walters, you know, huge names, and those guys really are connected to it. They see it all the time. They know what the trends are. They're constantly feeding information our way. Easton Fothergill. I don't know if you've heard of that guy, but just
heard of him. Who? Easton who?
Who?
Yeah, he's okay.
He's like, okay, I'll tell you.
He turns like 17 tomorrow, and he wins everything.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not really that young, but yeah, everybody knows who that is. That dude's a super stick. But
so we have these guys that they understand the trends. They know which ones are silly. They know the ones that people are going to respond to. And we're just constantly leveraging. You know, I'd hope you guys get in that network and we can be asking you what's getting you excited these days. And our buyers are always listening to it, but they also live it. So it's a really talented team.
That's beautiful. Yeah. A couple, what was it, months ago? We had Team Marine on from lacrosse.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with Team Marine. They're a Marine group out of La Crosse, Wisconsin. They make really cool videos because the guy who owns the shop, Andy, literally does not give a shit about anything or anyone as far as like offending someone. So like if he reviews a product, he'll be like, "This is garbage." I don't know. Like he just the other day they showed him on a short. He was ripping pieces off the new Ultrex Quest. He's like, "This piece of plastic is shit. Get rid of it. It's garbage. We'll come up with some kind of metal, but this is not good." And he loves Minn Kota, but anyway. He was talking about how Suzuki is like that. Like they listen to the feedback from the consumer and from, you know, shops like his and whatever. And I think that's paramount. Like the more you grow, I think the tendency is to be like, all right, we got this. And really the tendency should be more to lean into, you know, some of those people who provide proper feedback and whatever, because once you lose the pulse, it's hard to get it back, I think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can get carried away with it. That's the only risk, is that the early startup company like ours, if we try to go wide and we try to chase things that aren't going to work, like I respect that guy for being willing to say like, that's stupid. Like let that trend run and just, it's going to be dead. In the last couple of years, we have prioritized expansion of our inventory as fast as possible to try and keep up. We felt the pressure to do that, which caused a lot of out of stock problems. And 2025, we've just said like, we're going to shift that strategy and we're going to stay wide, but we're going to get much deeper. And so like our in-stock rate's closer to 90% right now. Wow. And that's where we're going to keep it, which it puts pressure on us to prioritize the good stuff, the things that people are mentioning very frequently. We definitely stay on the trend. We definitely keep the cool stuff coming in. But we want to be known for the company that has the stock. And we, like you said, I'm like really happy to hear you say that's a huge compliment. You say like you have the things that people are looking for, but we definitely want them to be in stock. And that's a change for Omnia moving forward. I think it's probably been the only knock we've heard from anybody is that sometimes you sell through things really fast because we turn inventory so quickly and we are so wide.
Yeah. It's got to be tough. It's got to be tough buying something that's so constantly shifting like fishing. It's not like, I don't know, buying some Levi's. Like, yeah, jeans have been a thing forever. Like lures are constantly shifting and what works. I mean, you know, think about 3 years ago. What do you think? 4 years ago, Lola? When did the jig head and minnow just absolutely explode? A couple years ago? Yeah. Before that, though, like nobody was bugging out on like 4,000 different densities of tungsten for a round ball head jig with
just walleye guys. They didn't care.
Right. But now it's like, you know, now you probably need like an entire wall at Omnia for jig head minnow crap, which, you know, that's just like as an indicator, like things shift and change. And then big swim baits get popular. And
how quickly that was,
dude.
You know, It went fast.
Oh, yeah, the Smeltinator.
Yeah, the Smeltinator, and then Northland bought it out. Yeah, we actually have Gussie on tomorrow. I want to talk to him about kind of where the Smeltinator, because now his boat is more Northland. Isn't that like the premier or the big sponsor on his boat now, the Wrap or whatever, Northland? Yeah, it's kind of cool. But yeah, I love it. Nate, Lola, you got any more questions for this feller?
No, I just think that this is so smart.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he has everything.
Yeah.
He's thought of everything.
Yeah, has everything and has thought of it.
Yes.
And then you combine those two.
Yes.
That's a pretty dope combo.
It's very good.
Yeah, that's very good. I would agree. What you got, Nate?
Well, I'd love to come back or show you guys the AI stuff when that comes out. It's going to be really neat. And
sounds mind-blowing.
Yeah, have somebody else come on and show you what that looks like. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah, well, it's not like you could really hire somebody like, hey, do me a favor. And Matt, please, we'll just test our friendship already, right? Do you like the show The Office?
Do I like the show The Office?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been through it 3 or 4 times.
Yes, dude.
You were nervous.
We got to hang out. I was for a second, but you passed, so we can still be friends. There was that one episode of The Office where they go to the beach and everybody thinks they're just having a beach day. And then Michael tells Pam, hey, I need you to take notes of everything that's happening the whole day and then come up with trends or things that are going on in a way that I can use it later. And she's like, what the hell? And then she's like at the beach, like writing and her hands going numb and whatever. Like, what if you went to one of your employees, like, hey, I need you to go through 31,000 angler reports and then see if you follow any trends there and kind of put it in a way that makes sense to me. Like, okay, well, I'll see you in 9 years as I work 24 hours a day.
Graph.
Yeah, could you make a pie chart? You know, find the similarities.
And I'll just throw an example out there really quick. So Mille Lacs is one of those fisheries, predominantly smallmouth bass. We have like a ton of fishing reports, and buried in those fishing reports is some really interesting stuff. And as the water warms, fish go deep, right? Like real simple connections and patterns. But because the smallmouth bass is a sight fish, and because the water is so clear, when there's a high sun, you will actually find smallmouth bass that will come chase bait fish up shallow, which is just like an anomaly of the pattern of summer deep fishing. And like that showed up. That we knew that, but that just showed up because it said like, show us some things that are just anomalies to the traditional pattern of fishing Mille Lacs, and it just got mentioned. And we don't tell you where to go do that, but like being armed with that information before you head up in the summer, if you're just trying to get your kids on fish, like could come full circle. You got to try and build patience with your kids, and you got to also hopefully give them the best chance of being successful, and talking them through that strategy. And like that stuff's showing up, and Omnia is capable of doing that because we have so much information. And that truly is like, it feels like what we did matters, and it feels like it was worth all the all the pain and sweat, and it's like I'm just super excited about where we're sitting, and the next couple of months are going to be pretty neat because of how we're starting to finally pull all this data together.
Man,
so I know you said the app was free, but then to upgrade, it's $49 a year. That is like so good.
Yeah, that's nothing.
That's like nothing for so much knowledge.
You get a full Navionics subscription. How much is that? I mean, you get that for free in the app. So
yeah, that's huge.
It cuts off some of the price. You
spend then you also get what? You get what back? 10%, right? On everything you buy.
Back, yeah. One rod, and we almost paid for it.
Well, for sure. Yeah. I mean, if you rock an NRX or something, it's one purchase. Yeah. I mean, it's over. Yeah.
I think I saw one of the features too was free shipping on no matter the cost too, right? So like if you just need a one pack of worms, real quick, you can just order one pack and get them shipped right to you.
We know you're not just getting
one
pack of worms.
One pack of worms? Get out of here, man. Who you talking to, boy? That's like getting one steak taco. That ain't happening. You're
right. That is not happening.
No.
Here's one that we don't really talk about just because there are a lot of features of Pro, but this might get you guys excited. We have a back in stock notification. So if we're out of stock on something, you can sign up for your email, and as soon as it comes in stock, it fires off an email to everybody. Pro customers get a 2-hour head start. And I don't know if that's huge, like depending on the audience, but that's pretty sweet too.
Like you were saying, like a great example was the Smeltinator jig, which Jeff Gustafson's homie from Canada made. It wasn't like this mass production thing, so he couldn't put out 5,000 packs at a time. So when they came back in stock, it was full blown effing feeding frenzy. And so to get a 2-hour heads up on like when that chum's going to be in the water, that's
worth.
For a while there,
that's worth the price.
Yeah,
we were like the one place you could get them. They were shipping them all down to us.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So how do you do that? Do you just do you go up there and like threaten the makers and be like, you're going to give them to us first? Or do you take them to tacos? Do you sweet talk them? How does that work?
Bring them maple syrup or something.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Maple syrup and a smoked pizza.
I was just going to say the smoked pizza.
Yeah. They're getting a good taco. Yeah. But hey, so you said something real quick, Matt, about marketing. And I want to touch on a bit of marketing brilliance that you had. I don't remember when it was, but twofold question. One is, does Seth Feider actually work at Omnia, or is that just like an ongoing funny thing?
I don't want to ruin the magic, but
okay, so he just works there. He works there.
He ain't coming in 9 to 5. Yeah,
because on the website, I've heard him say it on videos that he I didn't suspect that he actually stocks the shelves and stuff, but
this is what I will say.
Okay.
Seth is a Minnesota boy, and he has been with us since day one. He's been a friend of ours. He's awesome. Been connected to it since day one. So this is we don't write Seth Feider big checks to sponsor to do Omnia. Seth truly believes in the vision for it, and cool. He's an owner, he's a partner. He's he really is connected to it. He definitely doesn't come in 9 to 5. But he, I will say that if anybody ever gets a chance to work with Seth, jump on it. I'm usually the one that comes up with the really stupid ideas, and I'm really nervous to take him to Seth. And then I take him to him, and he comes up with an even better idea. He just, it was my ass. We need to get a warehouse tour. We need people to see that this is real and see that we have this massive warehouse and, guys cruising around on forklifts and stuff. And it's a real business. We're not just drop shipping from manufacturer stuff. I said, let's do a warehouse tour. And I said, let's do Seth and let's pretend he comes to work in a suit and, make it funny.
That
and he just he's let's do it the next day. He shows up in his suit and he's got his own lines and stuff. It's so good. Did you guys happen to see the one we did about the Seth looking at his app on the can?
That was literally what I was about to bring up. That was what I told Lola about that. The something while you make number 2 and the water while you hover over.
Laughing as
the number 2
app, this whole thing.
Number 1 on fishing. Yeah. So I built the tear sheet for that. I was like, let's do this. Let's play around with it. I was really nervous to pitch it to him. And the original version of this is really telling you how the sausage is made. But the original version of that was Seth being I'm not doing this. No way, guys. This is ridiculous. We basically force him to do it.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I pitched it to him, and I was so nervous. And he goes, I don't think that's on brand. He said, I think that Pete should say that we're not doing this, and I'm the one that's really for this. And I was like, okay, that works too.
He ain't scared.
It's just he's so fun. He's a great guy to work with. He's a pretty quiet guy, pretty reserved, and I can't tell if he's just a marketing genius or if I just think that's you're getting who he actually is. He's a fantastic guy and an excellent fisherman. So no, he's been around since day one, and anything you see is very authentic. Other than he does not come in at 9 o'clock and have his lunch and then go home.
And in a suit, in a really nice looking suit, with his mustache and long hair. If anybody doesn't know what Matt's referring to, you can find it on Omnia's. I don't know if it's on your website, but it's definitely on your YouTubes. There's just this really funny, hypothetical kind of funny, hey, what should we do for marketing? And Matt and all the kind of big wigs, I guess you could say, at Omnia are in a board meeting, and then he comes up with this idea of pitching people to use Omnia while they're taking a crap because you're sitting on the toilet, whatever,
and they're taking a craps.
Maps while you're taking craps.
Oh my gosh,
and then Seth changed it, the wording. He's not craps. Look at the map while you're taking a crap. He's it just flows better. He changed the wording of it on the whiteboard or whatever. It was so funny. But my favorite shot in the whole little video is when you're talking about this concept and it shows Seth and he's just smiling, this big Dumb and Dumber open mouth. He's he's just so stoked on it. And everybody else, you said Polish Pete and whoever else is in there, they're no, and he's yeah. And then the end shot when he's sitting there with the blurt out over his legs. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Now you know that Seth was supposed to reject it, and then Pete had to play that part. Pete was supposed to be the one come on, Seth, this will be fun, this will be great. And they switched it last second, and Seth was it's on brand for me to love this.
To do that, yeah. Well, the dude who let Mark Zona shave steps in the side of his head on his boat while fishing, he's probably the guy that's cool with poop marketing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And one quick plug. In 2019, I don't know if you've ever seen the all hockey hair team, but there's a guy that does this thing in all the state, in Minnesota state hockey is a really big deal. And the boys all grow out these like big mullets and they like shave things and they like dye it yellow. And there's this guy that does this really funny, like deadpan video about like, look at that gorgeous salad. And the kid skates up and it's his mom. And it's super, super funny. It's worth watching if you haven't. And in 2019, Seth said, let's do an all bass hair team and let's get a bunch of these bass anglers to submit pictures of their like best mullets. And then we'll pick the top 10 and give them a big prize.
That's perfect. Well,
it's coming back in 2025 and we'll be accepting submissions in January. We haven't announced it yet, but in about 2 weeks, I don't know when this will air, but in about a week or two, we'll be announcing that we're accepting submissions for the 2025 all bass hair team. And Seth will be co-hosting that. So it's coming back.
That's beautiful.
That's
well,
awesome.
I'm not me and Nate both actually. We have hats on right now for a reason, but we're not too far off the Matt Johnson hair train at all.
Sit in on this one.
But I'm saying though, like I remember back in the day, like in skateboarding when I was a little kid, there was the mullet, which was like we would rank them, like we would put like a not a fraction necessarily, but we'd say like out of 100, it's always like whatever was on top versus the back, like that's a 2080, that's a 1090, and a skullet was like a 0-100. That was like the best mullet. That's the so. You, me, and Nate, we could go all out. We could go skullet and just let it
Should
rip.
I just cut the top of my hair? I mean, my hair is really long.
Nope.
It's like I could just get real short and spiky up
here.
You
might win. You might win that contest.
It's worth it.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't even know what the prize is. We don't even know what you're doing. It might be just like a high five from Seth or something.
Cool.
Yeah. It might not be worth it for you to do that. You're a pretty lady. I would appreciate if you didn't do that. So, Matt, next Tuesday. Whatever day next week, we have Seth on the show. We've been trying to get him on forever, and we're pumped to have him on. Give us some juice. Like what you said, he's kind of quiet. Like how do we attack this guy?
No, I don't know if he's quiet, but he's just he's reserved. He thinks before he talks, and
he's calculated.
Yeah, I think so. He's just I don't know. His brain is perfect for figuring out and unlocking the code on lakes. So
that's true.
He's always down to talk fishing, but yeah, definitely ask him about the production process with Omnia and those videos.
Yeah, I can't wait.
The timing will be good for the all bass hair team too.
Yeah, we'll bring that up for sure. The all bass hair team. We got to remember that.
When are submissions due?
Sorry.
When are submissions due for that?
I think we're gonna give you like 4 weeks, so middle of January to middle of February, and then announce in early March.
What if you actually hair you've been growing out for however, cut it for an Omnia bass hair like promo. Oh, that would be
funny. Dom decided that he wants to grow his hair a little more. He's like, the flow. Just a little. I was like, Dominic, our son.
He's not a hockey player.
But he just likes how it looks with a hat.
Yeah, he likes the hockey hair.
Yeah.
My son does. My 7-year-old has a mullet. So when we move into the fall, we stop cutting the back and we just cut the top. And he gets this really sweet flow going by the end of the year. But then last year we went to where I'm from. My family still lives in the kind of the east side of North Carolina. And I said, there's no hockey, buddy, here you're just a redneck now. So
you're just one of the local miles.
Does he have like good texture to his hair? Has he ever gotten a perm or anything? I mean, he's little, but
he doesn't. I wish he was still awake. I'd bring him in here, but no, he's got good hair. I used to
wake him up, drag him in.
Exactly. But no, he's got good hair, and I still cut it so I can control it. Like get it nice on top, good flow in the back, clean it up. It looks good. Looks good.
Nice. Good
he's
work.
He's missing that front tooth. So he looks a hockey player all
He's
around.
missing his front tooth too,
buddy.
So if he enters this contest, it's over before it even starts.
Exactly.
I don't know if the owner's son should be allowed to win, but
I think he's the water boy or something.
Yeah, maybe that sounds pretty sick. Lola's a hairstylist, so she's going to ask all the hair questions, like perms and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Has John Cox ever had a mullet? Because he has some good hair too, doesn't he, Nate? He had like that curly hair for a while. You remember that?
Oh yeah, he grew it out. He did the cornrows. He's done a lot of wild stuff with his hair. Yeah,
that's a funny dude. Yeah, that's a super funny cat. Yeah. All right. So maybe one last question, unless you have more, Lola, unless you have more, Nate. My last question is, you've definitely said some stuff about like what's around the more, I guess you could say, immediate corner. What's long term for Omnia?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think we've gotten onto this pace. The system's working. It really is about really growth and scale. We the more information that comes in, the more we can digest and kick back out. I think we're going to continue to grow that way. On the pro side, the Omnia Pro app, we are investing very heavily in waypoint management. And so, like, for example, if you import your waypoints, they all stay private into your account, but we go back, I think it's 12 years. We'll associate all the environmental conditions to your waypoints for you. And then we're working on some tools where we'll let you like filter them out by, show me all that were under these sunny conditions or cloud cover or these pressures or,
so it's more
these wind speed
personalized.
directions. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And it'll be 100% private. I mean, that is not going to be part of the data sharing, but we're going to continue to invest in tools to give people really great ways to build patterns and digest information and store it and manage it and continue to learn the waters quickly and reduce those learning curves. So that we'll continue to invest in that as long as we can.
Dude, I'm sitting here kind of quiet because that just blew my mind.
Yeah, I could tell.
Yeah, that just kind of blew my mind because that makes
that's already live. That's already in there.
Yeah, that makes so much sense for it to be able to, under these conditions, when I caught him here 3 years ago or whatever, there's a lot of parameters and moving parts there, but that is so freaking smart.
So take the AI pattern stuff, look on a new body of water, build that pattern, then look back on your old data and see what those patterns as they start to emerge in your personal information. And then obviously a really critical thing is going to be to seamlessly transfer that information from Depth Finder right to your computer, right back to your Depth Finder. Why should you have 5,000 waypoints on your unit if you can just pull in the 39 that you really want for right now? Those are the things that we just want to streamline and make that whole experience, e-scouting, buying your tackle, being successful on the water, all as easy as possible. And it just doesn't feel like anybody's done that full circle yet. And that's where we want to focus.
It's Omnia.
Chucks.
Chucks.
All things.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chucks. Wow. Nate, what else you got, homie?
No, I'm good. I don't have a whole lot more. I think that's awesome. Thinking about figuring out why. Like I don't know how many different times I've fished like over the last 5-6 years. This point has been so good for 3 years, and then these last 2 years it hasn't been. Why has it not been? What's changed? And now being able to track that data, to figure out what the difference is, and now what point they will be on. You know what I mean? I like that. I think that's sweet.
I think it's where it's all headed.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you think about other major sports, right? From NHL to NFL, whatever, it's not like they play a game, a match or whatever, and then they just go on to the next one. They stop and they look back and they go, okay, this didn't work. Why? This did work. Why? You really need to know the why. The why is the essence of moving forward. And like what you're saying, Nate, if you can now go back and why it did or didn't, man, that takes your game next level for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's dope. Well, Matt, we are so thankful for you jumping on tonight. We super appreciate you.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad we were able to talk for a little bit. I feel very smart from listening to you. Yes. I feel like some of the stuff you told us was really eye-opening. It's stuff that I kind of already knew about Omnia, but not to the level of specificity that you gave to us. And so I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, well, I hope, it's nice to get on here and answer questions for you, because I think other people have the same questions, and this is super helpful for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. So, all right, brother. We will bug you to come up there and get some smoked pizza and tacos sometime. We'd love to hang out, but thank you again for being on the show, man.
You got it. Good to see
you
guys.
Everybody. That's Matt Johnson.
Yeah, appreciate it. Peace.
What a cool dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
So smart. Yeah. All of it.
Well, it's just, I mean, I've used this, I don't know if you want to say metaphor before, but the idea of like when you go to a skate park as a very geriatric old skateboarder, and you can tell pretty quickly whether or not that skate park was designed by skateboarders or whether it was designed by old men who had a budget to fill up a little section of cement. Because the ones by skateboarders, they flow, they make sense. The stuff is the right size, the right scale, whatever. Omnia was so clearly crafted by people who understand being on the water.
Yep.
Like it almost, I mean, I'm not dissing Tackle Warehouse. I'm like, our garage door, the inside of our garage door is covered in stickers. There's, I don't know, 12 different Tackle Warehouse stickers on there. And that's not from obviously all of our orders. We have a lot more than that. So I'm not hating Tackle Warehouse whatsoever, but or any other place. But it almost makes just a tackle retailer almost look kind of stupid.
Like, this is a one-stop shop.
Yeah. The depth that you can go to with this.
That's good.
Yeah, the amount of knowledge you can grasp very quickly and without having to go from site to site or page to page or resource. It's super dope, and it's like he said, it's something that really anybody can use, any level of fishing. If you're just getting into it, to touring pros that use it, like there's a way for you to use this as an awesome tool to get better at fishing and get the tackle that you need for the areas you're fishing. Like,
it's like,
that's it.
Yeah,
wow.
Absolutely no brainer.
I mean, what else needs to be said? That's exactly it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's almost like, do you remember back in the day, Burlington Coat Factory?
Yes.
The commercials would be like, "We're more than great coats," or something like that.
Then why'd they call it Burlington Coat Factory?
I don't know. Yeah, that'd be like,
that's probably why they made the song.
Yeah, that'd be like we start like Jordan and Lola's Taco Shock. Taco Shock. Frick, gotta edit that out.
Oh boy.
Jordan and Lola's Taco Shack.
Say that 5 times. 5 times.
Taco Shock. Jordan and Lola's Taco Shack. We got a lot more than tacos here. Or you know what I'm saying? Like, stop laughing at me. That's a hard one. Taco Shack. What did I say? Taco Shock. Leave me alone. Anyway, but like Omnia's like, it could almost be Burlington Coat Factory, more than great coats. It could be like Omnia, we're more than tackle. Because it is so much more than tackle. And I thought that was really interesting. The data that they sort of mined, within their own website, to say that they have people who go on the website and spend tons of time there and don't buy anything because they're researching and reading through maps and reading through fishing reports, 31,000 of them. It's a really neat concept. I mean, this is like some next level, in the coolest way ever, like nerds fishing, kind of smashing into people on the water fishing. And then you get this really cool product from that where everything kind of comes together. The word confluence, of course, is when multiple streams or rivers or bodies of water like flow into each other, like where like the Three Rivers Stadium, like in Pittsburgh or whatever, where Kevin Van Dam won the classic with like 2.5 pounds over 3 days or whatever the crap that awful classic was. Omnia is sort of the confluence of like really smart people, really fishy people, whatever, just all come together, and it just makes a ton of sense. So before we get out of here, I just want to remind everybody, while we still have stuff on tackleandtacos.com, it is all discounted, and that's probably not going to last too much longer, because kind of a cool announcement. What's an announcement sound?
That was good.
You try one. Please.
Nate,
you got an announcement sound?
I don't have it in me. No.
Dang it. I think you sick people. All right. When I said whoop whoop, it sounded like KRS-One. Whoop whoop. That's the sound of the police. Anybody know that song? That's the sound of the beast. Yeah. KRS-One. Knowledge reigns supreme. If anybody wanted to know what that stood for. Anyway. Cool announcement. We are actually finally putting together those hats with like the rope and the floppy hat with the PVC, like that rubber little taco patch in the middle. Finally, we've been working on that crap for like ever, and now it's actually going to come out. We just talked to the dude today. We're going to try and get like 3 colors of it. They're going to be so dope. So once we start rolling out new stuff, we will no longer be selling the old stuff. So get it at discount while you can. Half off shirts, half off hats. They actually had to make more hats because we ran out, but they're going to make more and still sell them at half off until we roll out the new ones. So that's kind of dope.
That is dope.
Yeah. That's right.
Tackleandtacos.com. All the stickers are at the very minimum of what we can sell them. They're all below cost. Lola, what's your favorite Tackle and Tacos merchandise item?
I like the sticker sheet.
Why?
Because there's just such a good variety. You can put it on a water bottle. Yeah. You could put it on your car. Yeah. You could put it on your binder for school or work. Yeah. That's why I like it. Okay. And the designs are very good. Yeah. And you can't get them. They're not all available as single.
No, none of them.
None of them. Yeah. So get the sticker sheet.
My favorite one by far is kind of the dumbest one. Yeah, the stump one. Where there's like a cut down tree stump with like one leaf growing out of it. And it says positivity is worth the effort.
Grow, little buddy.
I stole that concept from, well, not a concept, but just that little thing from The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein, which you ain't read it. You should read it because it's super dope, even just for adults, not just for kiddos. I don't know what else we're talking about. We good?
No, we're good.
Getting out of here?
Yeah.
Nate, you got anything?
I don't got nothing. I just appreciate everybody. I think I ran out of.
You're gonna go blow your nose?
Ran out of nose running, so I'm good.
You're snotting all over, man. Matt was a cool dude,
man.
What a cool cat. All the smartness, all the specifics, whatever, but just a cool dude. Like, we got into the taco talk. That was dope.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. That was really dope. All right, that's it. We appreciate everybody for listening. TackleandTacos.com. Another episode coming next week, Taco Tuesday. If you've not caught on to it yet, for a while, we were doing the episodes, and then we would launch like the video thing on YouTube later, but I've sort of figured out how to streamline it. So now every single episode, whether we talk to a big name guy like Matt or Seth Fighter, or we talk to somebody who's, you know, like a local guy who makes balsa crankbaits, every single episode will be audio and video. Our YouTube is the same as our socials, Tackle and Taco, and they will all come out right away in the morning on Taco Tuesday. So make sure you check that out. And other than that, we appreciate everybody. Positivity is worth the effort. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Peace.